We need to talk about autism, eugenics, and how what RFK Jr. said the other day in regards to autism relates to eugenics. Because even if he meant well, the way that he's talking about autism is just flat out dangerous. And there's a really dark history behind this way of thinking. Let's start by talking about what autism actually is. It's not a disease. It's not a tragedy. It's not something that you catch, and frankly, it's not something that can be prevented. It's literally a neurotype. It's a variation in natural human neurology. It's a natural difference in how someone's brain works. I'm autistic, and it impacts everything about my life. It impacts how I process the world, how I communicate with others, how I socialize with others. It also impacts how I move through my life. But that doesn't mean that I'm broken or that I need to be fixed. Because the fact is, and this is a fact, not an opinion, is that you can't separate me from my autism. To separate me from my autism would mean getting rid of me. And the idea that autism is a mistake that needs to be eliminated, that's not love, that's not support, that's not inclusivity, that's not understanding, that's dangerous. The idea of getting rid of autism is directly tied to the history of eugenics, which is this flawed belief system that's all about deciding which lives are worth living. Unfortunately, in history, eugenics has led to the forced sterilization, institutionalization, and even murder of disabled folks. And I think a lot of us are aware of this from the Nazi regime, but the US also did this too. It has happened here in the United States before. Early autism research wasn't about helping us, it wasn't about supporting us. It was about detecting us early so people like us wouldn't be born. So when people talk about eliminating autism, they're echoing that same mindset whether they realize it or not. And I think it's also important to bring up the conversation of Asperger's. Hans Asperger, the guy who this diagnosis is named after, was involved in Nazi programs. He helped decide which autistic kids were seen as useful and favorable for the Nazi regime. And he also decided which ones were seen as unfavorable. Those people were sent to their deaths. And now on to what RFK Jr. said and why it is so harmful. To start, he's been spreading the vaccine autism myth for years. This myth has been debunked many times. And if you don't want to understand that truth, that's not my problem, that's your own ignorance. But recently, this dangerous rhetoric went even further by saying he wants to eliminate autism. Eliminating autism can't be done without eliminating autistic people. That's dangerous. That's harmful. And even if he thinks that he's being helpful, that sort of language is not helpful. When you say you want to eliminate autism, you're saying that people like me who were born this way, I was born autistic, you're saying we shouldn't exist. And this is not about me being offended. I'm not offended. But I know my facts and I know my history. And I know that this sort of mindset in the past has led to harmful therapies, institutionalization, abuse, and policy decisions that hurt the exact people that they're trying to help. And again, even though he might have good intentions, this is not the way to go about this at all. And I know that some people are going to bring up higher support needs autistic folks. I too care about people on the autism spectrum with higher support needs. I understand you and I hear you. But trying to eliminate autism doesn't help them either. It dehumanizes them. To really help autistic people, we need to change our entire structure of society. And we need to build a society that is more inclusive, more understanding. And autistic people with higher support needs are just as worthy as myself, even if they might not be as quote-unquote productive as I can be. When RFK Jr. said that autistic people will never pay taxes, that's what made it clear that this isn't necessarily about helping autistic people and their families and their caregivers. He's trying to fix or eliminate autism because many of us are not able to contribute to this capitalist society. But let's be clear, worth is inherent. It doesn't matter how productive someone can be. It doesn't matter how much money someone can make. Those things are arbitrary and developed based on a flawed idea of how a human needs to perform. And so what do autistic people really need? We don't need people speaking over us. We don't need people talking about us like we're a burden on society, like we're a burden on families, like we're a burden on the people around us. We need understanding, and this understanding should not be coming from the outside looking in. Listen to autistic people. Listen to what we want. And yes, that includes autistic people with higher support needs as well. We need support systems that actually work. And yes, that includes better and cheaper healthcare. We need accommodations. And if that makes you uncomfortable, that's your own ableism to deal with, not ours. And just like everyone else, we deserve respect. And so if you really care about autistic people, listen to autistic people. Stop trying to fix us just because we're different, just because you don't understand us. Autistic people have always existed. Always. And we're not going anywhere, and we deserve to exist as we are.